Welcome to our podcast, I Never Lied, the Shelly Ann story. I will speak openly and honestly without fear of judgment or retaliation. I live in the city of Lloydminster. These are the famous border markers that separate the province of Saskatchewan and province of Alberta. You have to choose which province you want to live in. It is one or the other. To me, and in relation to this podcast, these border markers represent the idea that when it comes to childhood trauma and abuse, you must pick a side. On one side, you can choose to remain silent, believe this is a taboo subject, and not get involved. Or you can step on the other side and reach out to others, either to help or to get help. Just like the border markers, this is one area that you cannot live on the fence. If you try to, you will eventually fall off. In this series of podcasts, I'm hoping to educate, inform, and inspire you to stand up against childhood trauma and abuse. And if you are a victim, I want you to know that you're not alone. Hi, and welcome to I Never Lied, the Shelly Ann story. Today we're doing part 2 of the ripple effect. I've invited my daughter Amy to come in and be honest with me about everything and just share her experiences as a child. Hi Amy, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Do you think you had a very happy childhood?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
I was a relatively happy child.
Did you feel loved?
Very much so. Never a question.
What are your earliest childhood memories?
Lots of partying and drinking.
Okay.
I remember backyard parties, like with the big tent and all of Dad's friends coming around, lots of drinking.
Okay.
I remember a lot of that. Family coming and going.
Okay.
People in and out.
Right.
So that.
And that's what my next question was going to be is when you were young, I was a pretty heavy drinker. So what do you remember of that and how has it affected you today?
Well, I don't drink now. I haven't really drank in like 10 years.
Okay.
I won't date someone who drinks a lot. I won't anything like that. I don't know. That's about most of it's affected me. Okay. I just don't tolerate the drunks anymore.
So you know that Dad and I have been together for over 30 years now, right?
I hope so.
But you also know that I was married twice before. Now, I know you would not remember the first marriage because you were not born yet. But do you remember my second marriage?
Okay, so I remember him having, in the bathroom, me standing there watching him, and he would have like toothpaste all over his mouth while he was brushing his teeth.
Okay.
But I don't really remember much.
Okay.
I remember energy. I don't know if that. They're just not good energy.
Yeah.
But I don't have any like bad memories of things.
When you were young, I had 2 wonderful friends. And they were like second mom aunties to you. Do you remember them?
The one, I remember her like I saw her yesterday, even though it's been 20 years.
Okay.
I don't know how long. And she's no longer with us. And the other one, I have memories of her. Lots of on and off memories.
Okay.
But I know like when we lived in the last place where you were friends with her, not a lot of good memories. Like just lots of bad energy vibe kind of things.
Right.
I was very sensitive to that as a kid.
Yeah.
I know there was like drugs and stuff involved in the end with them.
Yeah.
But they were all happy memories from my end of things.
Right. Because they did nothing but purely love you, right?
Especially the main one.
Right.
I know, like, she's probably here with us right now.
Right. With the relationship history that I have, how do you think that affects you today?
I have very few friends.
Okay.
I don't attach. I have major rejection issues.
Okay.
If I feel the slightest bit of rejection, I'm done. I'm drawing the line. I'm gone. That's it. I'm very careful who I allow in. Very. And I don't trust a lot of people outside my circle.
Fair enough. That's going to take me to the next question, right? So when you were young and I had a fight with someone in my family or a friend, okay, and I didn't want to be around them anymore, I tended to try and turn you and your brother against them. So do you think that's part of your relationship issues today?
Yes. I never learned how to trust properly. Who to trust, how to trust, where to determine where to get the trust. Because I would hear good things and then I would hear all the bad things. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to trust this person, but when I'm hearing all of these bad things, how am I supposed to trust them? And even my mom is allowing them in and out. She trusts them in and out. How am I supposed to be able to figure that out? Like, yeah, with everybody, I'm like that. Because, like, even with your family, like, people we're supposed to love. And all of a sudden, we're hearing all these horror stories. And then the next minute, we're supposed to love them again. It was very confusing. Very
Absolutely.
confusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
For
it's
sure.
very much affected me into my childhood, or adulthood, sorry.
Right. So does it just make you more cautious now of people?
Yeah, very. Like, I have like one or two friends.
Okay.
Just.
So friends, but you do have a lot of acquaintances, just not friends.
I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't talk to them.
Okay.
Even my close friends, like the one that I have a lot with, we talk maybe once a year.
Right. Okay.
But we have that bond where we know if we need each other, we're there no matter what. We still love each other.
So I acknowledge that comes from things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have regrets about it, like towards me?
I used to.
Okay.
But I've come to terms now that, yes, that's how my childhood was, but at a certain point it does become my responsibility to try to correct my behavior. So I have a lot of regrets, and I wish I had gotten like closer to some of my cousins,
right.
And especially one in particular. I wish that relationship never got lost.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next question. And I just want to forewarn everybody that some of this could make me cry, could make you cry. It's very emotional stuff, but honesty is okay, mm-hmm. Right? So when you were about 6, Dad decided to tell you the truth about him being your father. How did that make you feel at that time?
Confused.
Okay.
Very confused. Because I grew up being told somebody else was, and he wanted nothing to do with me. So there's the rejection thing.
Right.
And then I had this man who was there before he knew the truth. He wanted me. He said he was my dad.
Right.
I remember sitting in his lap, because he would sit like with one leg crossed over the other, and I'd sit on the chair between his legs like a high chair almost.
Yep.
And we were sitting in the chair in the living room in the corner by the big windows in the duplex. And that's where he told me. And I remember feeling like mad at first, like child mad, and then confusion, and then happy, knowing that he was my dad.
And that the love he had for you was absolutely real.
And I cried. And I was upset at first and unsure what was going on, but then it like clicked in my head that this is my dad. He's telling me he's my dad. He wants to be my dad.
Right. So knowing that now, does it reduce the feeling of rejection from who you thought was your father? Does it make it more sensible to you now why he wouldn't have wanted anything to do with you?
I'm not his.
Right.
Why would you want to, even though he found me when I was 20 and tried to claim he was my dad, and then I told him some stories you told me, and he stopped talking to me very quickly.
Okay.
But I got angry. I didn't like, oh my God, you're my dad. No, I was like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
So later on, I explained to you that I had had an affair on my first husband and that I got pregnant with you. I know I've also said that I don't regret those actions, because if I had not done what I did, I wouldn't have you in my life, right? And you know that I absolutely treasure you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know you have no regrets with that.
No, I don't.
Me
and
neither.
I can't.
Me neither.
Because to have a regret would be to regret having you in my life, right?
I was a happy accident.
Yes, you absolutely were. And not an accident, because I think that everything happens for a reason. So I think you were happy on purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know that I exposed you to a lot of the information about the trauma and abuse I suffered as a child way before you were able to understand it, right? So I guess I want to know, how do you think that affects you now? How did it affect you then, and how does it affect you?
The easiest way to describe it from then is I always felt like my feelings and pain and stuff was minimized.
Okay.
Because yours was always so much worse. And even though you never said that to me, the way you acted and just did things, it's how it came across to me. Because I know you would never do that intentionally. I know I was immune to a lot of things. I was able to like just block things off after that, because you had to be able to block that out. So I learned very quickly how to block stuff out of my head. And of course, trust issues. Hearing all the negative stories and bad things about all of these people, and then being told to love them.
Right. Very confusing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
And hard for you to handle too, right? So how do you think it affects you now?
Now that I've done a lot of internal work, it's maybe a lot more understanding of other people and what they go through.
Right.
And you, what you've been through and everything. Like, I've been able to go back and say, okay, I understand why my mom did the things she did, because that's all she knew. She did the best with what she had. So I can look at it that way now and be like, she loved me. It was all with love. It was never with hate or malice or anything like that. Everything was with love.
Right. Okay, so both you and your brother played witnesses to me chasing my mother for love and approval. And sometimes I wasn't able to be there for either of you guys and your dad, because I needed that. But I want to know how this affected you at the time.
Sometimes I felt not as important, especially because after hearing the horror stories, and then sometimes you would choose her over us, or it felt that way. It was it hurt.
Yeah.
Knowing that after everything she did, you were still kind of choosing her. Though I understand now where that was coming from. But then it hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, I'd say that's why we had some rocky problems in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Some issues after I became an adult.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough, right? I mean, this is about being honest.
Yeah, we had our issues.
Yeah.
But we've both grown up and dealt with some things, and we've talked a lot.
Yeah. So in affecting you now as an adult, which you already answered pretty much all of it, have I helped you to understand why I chased my mother?
I understand completely. I can look at it and be like, if I didn't have a relationship with you, I would chase you to the moon.
Right. So how does it make you feel now knowing that I don't have anything to do with my mother at all?
Proud.
Proud?
Proud. The day you let her go in your mind and your heart, I was so proud of you. so proud of you. It's all I ever wanted you. I walked away from her way before you did. Because as soon as I got to that point in my head where I'm like, I don't need to rely on my mom's relationships anymore. I can make my own and draw my own lines. And I cut her out. And then when you finally did, I was so proud of you. It was such a big step for you.
It was huge. Huge. But I had to do it for me.
But there was no anger, no malice, no jealousy, no nothing. I was just so proud of you. Because I knew how hard that was for you. After watching you struggle growing up with that bond and wanting that bond with her and never getting it. And then finally, you not letting her hurt you anymore.
And with her not being able to hurt me, she indirectly could not hurt you anymore.
Exactly.
Right? Your whole life, I've been an overprotective, overbearing mother bear from AG double hockey sticks, right? And if I thought somebody was going to hurt you or was targeting you for anything, I went absolutely insane, right? So, because I went overboard when you told me stuff, is that why you felt you couldn't tell me stuff?
Because you overreacted. To me, it was like it's just a huge explosion of overreaction. And I am the opposite of you.
Yeah.
But even from like little things, like you would go overboard. So it made it harder to tell you the big things because I'd be worried about what would you do? Because this is what you did for this. What the heck are you going to do for that?
Yes.
But yeah, it made it hard to tell you things growing up.
And I think you were probably in your 20s when I said, before you tell me anything, tell me how you want me to react. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I have really held true to that.
I don't even have to tell you anymore.
No, because my brain has learned, right? So, how embarrassed were you with the squawk box?
I think I was too young to be embarrassed.
Okay.
But it definitely scared the crap out of me.
Right.
I was terrified to go anywhere.
Right.
It just scared me. Like I was scared.
See, and I thought by making you wear that squawk box, you would be safer.
Okay, you told me like I had a reason to be afraid.
Yes.
So I gotta watch like everywhere. What's going on?
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, a squawk box looks like a...
Just a little box. Just a little box.
It's just a little square box. It looks like a beeper and it goes onto your belt loop or your side of your pants, and it has a little handle in it that goes around your wrist. And if you get scared, you pull real hard and it goes off like a siren. Yeah, I regret making you wear that. So think back to when my stepfather moved to Wainwright. And very suddenly I went, that's it, pack it up, we're moving, we're leaving, we're out of here, we gotta go. And I don't believe that I explained it properly to you guys. It was absolute in fear and panic. So when we started moving, and then moving, and then moving, I really want to know how that affected you.
I have a really hard time attaching to anything. I can go and make friends and walk away. Never talk to them again, not have an issue. Attachment. I can't attach to people very easily.
Right.
Because I'm always like, okay, well, someone's going to leave.
And I totally get that.
Yeah.
Because when we moved, when we were kids, we didn't form friendships with people because we would have to leave. We knew that was going to come, right?
It's like I have the one friend that from childhood that you guys pushed really hard after that to keep us friends. And even now, like, we're not that close anymore.
Right.
Maybe twice a year, once every 2 years, we talk to each other.
Right. Yes, we knew how much it hurt you to move away from your other friends. Yeah. And so we really did try to
and I value that.
Make sure that those ties were still there and the ability to see each other. And
because I know if I needed her in a heartbeat, she's there.
Absolutely.
But she gets me and my lack of attachment.
We were moving. Did you really understand why we were moving?
When we left Wainwright, because of everything happened beforehand, like when me and my one friend went to the park when you told us not to leave the house, we went down by the post office and we got in trouble. I remember like being scared and freaked out, but then we got into the moving and then I got distracted by the moving and the process and all of that. So I didn't really understand what was going on.
Right.
But like what I think Wainwright is when we were told the most different things. There were so many different reasons why we were moving.
Yeah.
From Dad's work to your work to so many things.
Yeah.
From hearing about him and that and whatnot. So it was scary and confusing.
Well, when your brain is in trauma mode, it's hard to figure out what should I say, what shouldn't I say, and I know that we didn't explain it well enough.
And you guys justifiably so were in panic mode.
Yes, absolutely.
I can look at it now and go, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Now as an adult, right?
Yeah. I could be like, yeah, I probably would have done something very similar.
So I know we're going to hit a difficult question here. But I spent the majority of your childhood trying to protect you from anybody who could possibly hurt you. Even not letting you go and stay with family members or spend night at friends' houses or whatever. So it seemed to me like the first time I did let you go somewhere without me, you were hurt and you were assaulted by your friend's grandfather. When you came home and I found out about it, I literally had a nervous breakdown and I couldn't be there for you. Partly because I felt responsible because I actually let you go. Partly because of the way I found out and that I wasn't able to go and be with you and help you sooner. But with my inability to help you, what effect did that have on you then and what is it doing to you now?
At the time, I felt like I wasn't important. Because it wasn't about me.
Right.
It was about you.
Right.
It was never about me. Until I was, like 2 years later, you tried to send me to therapy, but I had already shut down too much. And it was too late.
Do you understand now as an adult why I couldn't be there for you?
Yes.
I mean, man, if I could turn the clock back and be there, things would have been so much different, right? But in my mind, getting you to the police station, telling you I believe you, letting you know it wasn't your fault.
I look at it as like you were being abused all over again.
Right.
It's your baby. I'm a part of you.
Yes.
That's how I look at it now, and I can understand why you did what you did.
Right. And see, we were still in the trauma of the court and all that stuff with my stepfather, right? I mean, I was still living in terror and panic. And so when it happened to you, literally, yes, it felt like it happened to me. But it was my inability to protect you. Yep. It was my judgment that failed to let you go.
Yep.
Right? And that's why I couldn't deal with it.
It was a hard time after that. That's when things started to go dark in my head.
Right.
My thoughts got worse and tried a few things.
And that's fair.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you were basically left on your own to try to deal with it. And I regret that so badly, right? I wish. Do you think that we've been able to heal from it since then?
Yes.
Now that you're an adult?
Yes. Because we have grown together. And we've talked a lot. And I understand where you came from. Were coming from back then. Because you've been so open with me now. More not just so about the actions of things that happened, but what was going on inside. More understanding to be where you were in your mind. I can look at it now and go, yeah. She wasn't out of that attack mode yet. Yeah. The fight or flight mode yet. And that's where you were still when I got hurt.
And that's when I took flight. Yeah. And I ran out to Bess's, right?
And I know it was Dad and our aunt that stopped you from going down to Drumheller with a baseball bat.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. So, when you and your brother were young and I made a mistake, and once I realized I made a mistake, I would try to apologize to you, or at least let you know I acknowledged that I had made a mistake. And a lot of that was because I didn't want you guys to think I wasn't human.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want you to think I wasn't going to make mistakes, because I absolutely was. But I also did it because I thought if I could tell you when I was wrong or I made a mistake and apologize to it, it would be easier for you guys to tell me when you made a mistake. And was it?
When I was younger, it's almost like I didn't believe you.
Okay.
Because you didn't believe yourself.
Right.
As we got older and you actually started to learn more, it was more genuine. And I totally believed you.
Right. And you still believe me today.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it was almost like that you were just doing it out of the motions kind of thing. That's what you thought you should be doing.
Right.
Not because that's what you felt and were doing on the inside, I guess. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, no, and that's right. Because when you guys were little, I didn't feel anything.
No, you were numb.
Right?
You loved us.
I loved you beyond life itself. But I didn't feel anything. I didn't allow myself to feel anything. Right?
It's easier to feel nothing than...
Yes. Yes. Okay. When I talk to my friends, I always talk about you and your brother, and that I tell you everything, right? Because I know in my heart neither one of you will, judge me or hold anything against me for what I'm going to tell you.
Nope. As long as you're honest.
Absolutely. But people question me all the time. Why do you tell your kids everything? And it's because I trust you. And I know that both of you only want the best for me. I do tend to run to you a little bit more, but that's because you're a female, right?
Well, also you and my brother are very similar.
Yes.
In your responses.
Yes.
And I'm not.
Right.
So if you want that response, you go to him.
Yep.
If you want my type of response, that's when you come to me.
Right.
I don't look at it as that you're just coming to me. I look at it as you go where you need help.
Yeah. And there are lots of places in my healing journey where you have given me advice and told me how to handle a certain situation. And sometimes, like with your brother, I don't want to hear what you're saying, and I'm upset because you're not saying what I want you to say. But I walk away,
you need
and I
someone
roll
to
it
get
over
angry
in
with
my
you.
head, and then it's easier for me to comprehend it, right? And turn it into an actual working in my life. So one of the things I want to ask you is, because when I come to you for advice or your opinion on something, you always got the right answer. So how did you get so smart? Where did you get that from?
From being a very quiet, observant person.
Okay.
And listening to everything around.
Okay.
That's the joys of being quiet. So I'm listening to everything around me because I can't focus on just one thing. So I listen a lot and I pay attention to a lot of what goes on, and I absorb it and I analyze it and go, does that work for me? Do I understand that?
Yeah.
I make sure I'm always open-minded. And even when I'm having moments of closed-mindedness, I have aha moments where I'm like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't feel that way about that person, because when I look at their life, I'm like, hey, well, what the heck would I have done?
Right.
Like some of these famous kids growing up, people are judging them so much. It's like, okay, but if you grew up being watched like that, where would you be?
Yeah, exactly. And it's easier to see that as we're adults and we're growing and changing, right?
So I'm just able to look at like all the sides of the equation almost. Right. Instead of just your side and just my side, I can look at the middle.
Right. Perfect.
I don't know how I learned to do it, but I did. Just from being quiet and observant.
Perfect. So how does it make you feel to be my teacher of sorts?
Proud.
Okay.
It makes me feel wise sometimes.
Okay.
But I'm heading in the right direction in my life.
Yes.
And you see I'm heading in the right direction in my life.
Absolutely. And I know I'm heading in the right direction in a lot of ways too, because of you and your brother, right?
Yeah. Well, and we're going in the right direction because of you and things you've talked to us about.
Perfect. I love that. So how does it make you feel knowing that I'm still learning and growing and trying to change and become a better person? And
That you're human.
okay.
That's the part of life. Till the day we die.
Right.
I won't be this person in 10 years. I'm going to be a different person in 10 years.
Right.
I'm going to be a different person in 6 months. We're always changing and evolving. So it's just, I'm proud to see that you're not just staying stagnant, that you are open and you're just accepting all the lessons.
Perfect. How does it make you feel to know that we've crossed the threshold of from mother and daughter, which that'll always be, but now we've moved into a friendship?
Very happy. Content.
You feel secure in that?
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I'm not afraid to tell you things anymore. I'm not afraid of how you're going to react. I'm not afraid of who you're going to tell. I'm not afraid.
Well, I've learned not to tell people anything, right?
But still, it's just all of that because we've both grown together and I know I can trust you now.
Okay.
You've earned that trust.
Well, thank you. I've tried very hard.
And my trust is very hard to earn. And we know why.
That's okay. I just want to tell you, as a woman, I love you so much and I have so much respect for you that I hold you in a very high regard. I see you as being one of my very closest friends, right? So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being open and being honest and trusting that I can handle the truth, because we will help other people and other mothers and daughters and mothers and sons, and we will help them understand there is a ripple effect, but it's okay once we acknowledge it that we start working to fix it.
It'll even help siblings.
Absolutely.
Because me and my brother, we're so opposite. And we went opposite directions in our reactions. And now look at us, though.
Yeah, there's a divide.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get that fixed too.
One day.